think this is the angle that is the most tolerable. You can see how messy my room is though, which is kind of... Anyway, I'm wearing my Songkran shirt, which is the spring festival in Thailand, and I cannot remember what date. I think it's in May or April, and basically people for three to 5 days they squirt each other with water pistols, and if you're wearing one of these shirts, then it's abundantly obvious that you're out and about to celebrate, so people have full license to throw water on you. And I think that it wasn't originally quite so chaotic. Like, it was explained to me by one guy that it used to be kind of, it was a day that people just took off from, like they took a holiday from working in the fields and everything. And as a way of showing their appreciation to each other, they would pour water on each other to cool each other off, because it was kind of a hot season and sometimes there was drought and stuff, so it was kind of a way of giving blessings, I guess. And then it got out of hand. Like every year people get more and more wild about it, and now they pretty much, I mean, I have to say the little old ladies and the children are the worst, because they have buckets of ice water and they will just run out and greet you very sweetly and say Happy Songkran, and then pour a cup of ice cubes down your back, which is really and then if on top of that you have to use public transport and they have air conditioning on and you're all wet, you're gonna get sick. If not sunburned, if you go into the park when you're all wet and you're like in the sun, you're gonna get, because you kind of lose track of time when you're playing with the water and stuff, so it's very easy to get really badly burned. Anyway, I was out with my Thai friend on Songkran, and he has the ability to walk through the whole neighborhood without getting wet. His hair was not messed up. He was completely fine, and he has this kind of face that he looks like he's glaring a lot of the time, so he had no problem. I mean, I met him at the train station and he was totally dry and just looked faintly irritated. I think he had like 3 drops of water on his shirt, and he was just like, ugh, I don't like water. And I was kind of amazed by that. Anyway, I wanted to buy a Songkran shirt, which was one of these flower shirts, so he suggested that I get this one. He was like, that's good for you. And I wore it recently to my Thai class, where I learn Thai language and I'm learning, you know, all the alphabet characters. And the teacher told me that it's the flower depicted on it, these white flowers. I'm not sure if they're primroses or I forget what they're called in Thai. Is a bad luck flower, actually. Like, I cannot wear this shirt into a temple. And I was like, oh yeah, my friend picked it out for me. And one of the guys in the class was like, yeah, he's wishing you death, dude. Like, I don't know if that guy's your friend. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of a funny story, and I kind of want to, it's another one of those things that I suspect there's a story behind it in folklore, and I'd like to sort of know more about that. And I recently went to the movie theater. This is a different topic. I like horror films. I don't really like negativity, but horror is one of the few, there isn't really a fantasy genre in film, so horror is kind of the genre where people tend to depict the supernatural more, and you're more likely to see stuff from paganism or kind of antiquated legend. So I tend to watch a lot of them, and I thought I was pretty inured by now because I've seen a lot of them over the years, and the only one that really kind of freaked me out over a long period was the Blair Witch Project. And it's interesting because there's no jump scares, like in the Blair Witch Project. Nothing's jumping out suddenly. And actually, you watch the whole film and you think you're fine, and you're like, oh, it's kind of funny actually, and they're being so silly, getting so freaked out in the forest, over nothing. And then, after the movie, you go home and you're lying in your bed, and I was looking around and I thought I was fine. I was like, oh, it really wasn't that scary. But then there's just this sort of feeling of unease that creeps over, and then it sort of grows. Like, it gets steadily more and more unsettling as you're lying in bed. And then I decided that I would turn the lights on to sleep, and then I decided that I would turn the TV on, and then I decided that I would turn the TV up. So I realized that was quite a strong reaction, considering that I sat through the whole film without even like jumping once. And so recently I went to the movie theater with my friend from the Philippines, and we saw Hereditary, which is a kind of annoying film in the sense that it's very Christian prejudice. Like, it's sort of it's basically about belief in demons, which I don't really believe in, but because I don't really believe in good and evil in a black and white sort of way, but it's a very unsettling film, and it's very well done, I have to say. And they managed to they did use jump scares, but they did it in such a way where every time they would have something building up to a jump scare with a lot of suspense, that would just taper off and nothing would happen. And then you'd have a scene that looked like it was going to be completely normal, and then there'd be a jump scare at a really unexpected place. So it kind of kept you off guard the whole time. And they managed to put in some kind of archetypal images that were pretty freaky, and it's gross also. It's quite grisly, I think. So, and it was also one of the ones that I felt sort of fine. Like, I didn't freak out in the cinema, but I was surprised. Like, when I was a little kid, I was not allowed to watch horror movies because I had a really active imagination, and my mother knew, with the combination of me being a bedwetter and getting freaked out, that I was going to end up in her bed, and that I was probably going to wet the bed in the night, partly out of terror and partly just because it was something that I did for a long time. So so there was a big ban on on horror movies, and I still managed to get freaked out. I mean, I watched Picnic at Hanging Rock, which was not a horror movie, but it was enough to like completely freak me out. And so when in the movie theater, when we were watching Hereditary, there were these two like little 10-year-old girls in the next seat. And I mean, they seemed fine. I mean, like, they screamed at a couple of places, but they were having a whale of a time. They were having a really good time. And I was like, wow, I'm a wuss, because this is sort of like, I enjoyed the movie, but it also bothered me a little bit, I must admit. And anyway, why did I want to talk about that? Well, basically, I would recommend the movie in the sense that I would say it's a good movie because it's not like a lot of other horror movies. Horror movie, even though it is the one genre that allows for the presence of the supernatural in the plot, it is also the least imaginative genre. You kind of have 5 basic plots. You have the 10 Little Indians formula, where people are just getting bumped off one by one, and then you have the creature feature, where there isn't really a main character and everyone just sort of dies, and then you have like the vampire movie, which is really just a sort of sex fantasy. It's not really horror per se. And then you have the Christian Gothic, which would be like something like Stigmata, which is usually kind of something to do with hell. And kind of like, it's usually like with portals and stuff where, if you do some weird ritual, then hell can kind of get an influence in your life. Which I guess Hereditary was a little bit like that, but it also was it was just so differently done. And then you have the haunted mansion style horror, which is kind of my favorite, because I generally find it's very slow and it's more creepy, and I often find it's more imaginative. There's more creativity in the art direction. I mean, if you have to kind of like design a really big house for the setting, then I don't know why I can't seem to find an angle that I like. then a lot more thought has to go into the art direction, and the editing is usually a little more creative, I find. So, so yeah, that's my movie review for now, and I might make another video to and upload today. I always, when I'm kind of sitting without the camera on, I'm always thinking of tons of stuff that I want to talk about, and then I get the camera pointed at me, and it's not like I don't feel nervous. It's not like I have stage fright, but I kind of forget what I'm saying, and I just sort of say a lot. Anyway, so that is it. Bye for now.